We found the house, then things get really complicated from a paperwork standpoint. You got about 15 working days to get all your conditions met. It might be less or more depending obviously on your conditions. We found a house in November late last year and then viewed it in December, sat on it over the holiday. January we viewed it again and then we made our offer. Turned into a multi-offer situation really quick. If you've never been put through those, this is how it works. You put your best offer in and the vendor, the seller, decides who they want to go with. You do not get to see what the other side is offering. They could have offered $50,000 less and you would have never known. It's basically a blind auction where you have to guess at what everyone else is doing while also figuring out what you're actually willing to pay. Now, just remember, it's not always price. Sometimes conditions are the important factor. For example, the other buyer may have needed a condition of sell their current house and that the seller just wasn't willing to wait that long. So it's a lot more complicated than just price. Our conditions were finance, building report, layman valuation. This is not advice. This is just what we put on it. We had 15 working days to meet all of them, with some of them being a little bit shorter. The seller accepted our offer with our conditions, and we were conditional on a house. Now the clock starts ticking. We had to meet those conditions now. So here's what it actually cost. $713 for a builder's report, $953 for a registered valuation, $310 for a limb report, $1,800 roughly for the lawyer, although that's still going to be upcoming. And we'll get about $5,000 cash back from everything once the bank settles. That offer will change all the time. That's just what we're going to be getting. That will cover the majority of those costs, maybe some moving costs, and that's it. So if that building report comes back not ideal and we decide not to proceed with the house, we're out the $1,800 and we got to move on to the next house. Most people think buying a house is about finding the right property and getting the bank to say yes, but the actual offer process, that is where you can lose thousands of dollars and end up in a contract you should never have signed. The difference between a good outcome and a disaster often comes down to whether you had the right people on your side before you made your offer. Here's what you need to do before you ever think about putting in an offer. Get your mortgage broker and your lawyer sorted early, not after you found the house, but before. We had our lawyer and broker lined up before we made the offer. That meant when it came time to actually put the offer in, we knew exactly what conditions we needed, what we could afford, and what the process would look like. When you're in a multi-offer situation, you don't have time to figure this stuff out. You got maybe 24, 48 hours to decide your best offer. We were actually given from Saturday, and then we had to have an offer by end of day Monday. So 1 working day, that's all we got. If you're scrambling to find a lawyer, waiting to see your broker to get back to you, you're already behind. Here's the other bit. You need cash on hand for these reports. $3,000 might not sound like much, but if your deposit has cleared out your savings, where's that money coming from? You need to factor this into your planning. Talk to a conveyancing lawyer before you start seriously looking at housing. Ask them what conditions they recommend. Understand what the process actually looks like. Talk to your mortgage broker about what happens once your offer is accepted. What conditions do you need? What are the timelines? What can go wrong? These conversations cost you nothing, but not having them could cost you thousands. Tomorrow we'll talk about what happens when you are unconditional, because that's when things get real.